We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, the podcast where we explore the craft of songwriting, celebrate the artists behind the music, and uncover the stories that make their work truly special. I'm your host, Simon Fink, and thank you for joining us. Our guest on the podcast today is one of Australia's most exciting emerging talents. It's singer-songwriter Stella Bridie. Based in Melbourne, Stella creates emotive, honest and gut-wrenching music that pairs stunning melodies with lyrics that cut right to the core. After an incredible run of singles this year, including what I personally think might be my track of the year in the form of He Didn't Mean It, Stella is releasing her debut EP, Speaking Terms, this week. This gorgeous collection of songs showcases her exceptional songwriting ability and a directness that is sometimes missing in contemporary music, making this EP a must-listen. Now, in today's episode, we're chatting with Stella about Speaking Terms and collaborating with Gab Strum for this record. We discuss how she's developed the ability to be so honest in her songwriting and the supportive community that she's built to foster that freedom. We also talk about the challenges and skills involved in crafting such personal songs and whether we can expect to see Stella hitting the road more in 2025. We want to say a huge thank you to Melody for her help with today's episode and remind everyone that Speaking Terms is out right now. You'll find links in the show notes to stream the EP or grab tickets to Stella's show at the Old Bar in Melbourne. While you're there, don't forget to follow us across all of our social media channels and sign up to our website to stay up to date with all of our future episodes and guests. And with that, let's dive into our conversation with Stella Bridie. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Stella Bridie. Stella, hello. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for giving some of your time to us today to chat about a brand new EP from you. I'm super excited that we're getting to chat about this. I know that we got to catch up at Big Sound and kind of allude to new music later in the year, but that time is finally here. Speaking Terms is the EP. It's out today. Congratulations, firstly. How are you feeling with this collection of songs now out in the world?
Yeah, so good. I think I've never, it's a debut EP. I've never done like a release like this before, and it just kind of felt like perfect timing. It felt like all the songs fit so like nicely together. Getting to make it with Gab Strum has just been amazing. Yeah, I'm feeling good, excited, proud.
Awesome. All good things to be feeling for a debut EP. Did Gab give you any advice on the release, or like how you should be feeling, what not to feel, expectations?
Gab gives me advice on like almost every area of my life, I think. So yeah, I think probably just not super explicitly on, how to feel, but I think just through every other thing that he's advised me on, I'm like, now I have like the what would Gab do voice in my head, so I can kind of feel out what I think his advice would be. But yeah, so he lives overseas now, so we're just iMessage catch up. We're in a group chat together with a bunch of the people who made the EP, so that's really nice. We just all get to connect.
I love that. Well, look, it is a fantastic EP that we are chatting about today. Firstly, again, not just congratulations on the release of the EP, because as any kind of debut release goes, it is very exciting to put music out into the world, but also congratulations on the music that you are putting out. These songs are incredible. I know that when we spoke at Big Sound, there was discussion of the kind of weight that these songs carry and the kind of songwriter that you are. And once again, I feel like you've floored. We were very lucky enough to have a listen to the EP before it has come out today. And myself was absolutely floored by the tracks that you've written. So yeah, congratulations on I guess this beautiful collection of songs to begin with. Is there an element of nerves? I know we said all about the kind of good feelings in terms of sharing yourself and sharing these emotions, these kind of stories of yours. Is there any nerves that you've got, going into the release of it?
Yeah, always. I think if in order, I think for songs to really like be at their fullest potential, they need to come from a place that kind of like freaks you out a bit. Like I think as soon as you hit on that kind of feeling when you're writing, it's kind of like, you know, that you should sort of follow the money. But kind of starting, because He Didn't Mean It was the lead single for this like release plan, and that song is obviously so direct and so like confessional, and you know there's a lot going on in there. Because of that, it's not that the other songs don't also have things that feel very vulnerable, but I think leading with that was sort of good for me emotionally, because it was sort of like, oh, okay, that's like the height of the feeling I might experience of trepidation, or I don't know, like wanting to kind of like hide something away, even though you're also really proud of it. And I think I was like, if I can push through with that, then everything else kind of comes through. And the other thing is when you work with other people, which you always do with music, even for solo projects like mine, when you work with other people, it's just like a lot easier, because you're like, well, I can get past my own feelings about it because I'm really proud of the thing that we've all made together, and I don't want to like stifle that because of my own feelings. But yeah, it's definitely an exercise in like I don't know, just like radical acceptance of every single anxious thought I've ever had coming to fruition.
Mm-hmm. Which is totally fair, I think, for putting out an EP or putting out anything creative in any kind of creative field, which totally understandable. Since we last spoke, He Didn't Mean It, I feel at the time was kind of becoming quite big and started picking up momentum. It is a brilliant track. At the time, I said my choice for single of the year. I still stand by that comment, and probably, well, we're now in December, so I think nothing's going to change. Have you found that since the single has come out and as we kind of roll up to the EP being released, that you're finding more attention on yourself and the project, and kind of that there's a wider audience kind of seems to be filing through the door now to kind of check out Stella Bridie?
Yeah, I think, it's felt, you know, like the momentum's been really great, and hearing from people directly or kind of indirectly is like always amazing. And, you know, like every new little bit is kind of a nice surprise, or to find out a new way that someone's connected with it in a way that I might not have even anticipated is really great. I think also it feels like a kind of like, you know, when you do, I guess, get down to like the most, again, honest version of your songwriting, it feels like a reward that people connect with it. Like when you stop trying to be understood, that's when people can connect. So yeah, it feels pretty like it feels like a good like follow your heart on that. And actually, speaking of Gab, like there was a point at which the song kind of felt done, like before we had really opened it up together, and I was like, okay, I'm going to put it out. And this was like last year. And then he was like, okay, I think you should do whatever you think is right, but I'm just going to say that I think that there's more, like a little bit more we could do on this to just like make it really, really perfect. And then like, and the way you release it, like let's talk about that, and like let's adapt that. And I was like, I felt this real like, oh, I just want to like get it out. I just want to put it out. But I trust him, and also he was coming from such a place of like, I really care about the song, I really want to like do it justice. And so I think making that choice, it feels like it's paid off to like take more time with it, take more time to put it out in the right way, and also to like just get those last little things kind of perfect about the song.
I absolutely love that though, and it obviously has worked well in terms of the decisions that both yourself and Gab made in releasing it now and having it kind of resonate the way that it has for this EP. In the lead up, kind of reading some press and listening to interviews and kind of getting to, I guess, work out both listening to the songs and working out what you've been saying about the EP. I read that you said that the writing process was kind of like putting the final nails into a coffin, or really hammering those little last pieces down, and that it carried a lot of weight, I guess, artistically. Are you able to elaborate on that a little bit more, and I guess explain why for a debut EP, that's a lot to kind of carry and a lot to kind of do for your first collection? Yeah, are you able to elaborate more on I guess, those words?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I just, like, as you know, like personally, I dwell so much and I love to like go over things over and over, and songwriting allows you to do that sort of without it being like counterproductive, because something is being created out of it. But I suppose when writing like these songs, which like are connected in the way that they're all conversational and about like kind of final words or like last words with a person or last words on a subject, like even though they're not all connected by necessarily the exact same experience, I was sort of, with all of them, I was like, okay, what if this is like the last time that I talk about this? Well, what if like this is the only song where I'm going to be able to tell this story? Like, what are the actual most crucial details? It's kind of like if you had, I don't know, like 3 minutes to just like tell the story of this, you know, maybe quite like harrowing or quite impactful thing. What are the most crucial details? And that kind of allows, I want to say like ego to fall away, because sometimes I think like with Organ Donor, which is, you know, a breakup song, which I hadn't really written before, I think sometimes there's an urge to write something from a place you want to be rather than from where you are. And sometimes you can use like being really angry or, like, I don't know, really kind of incisive as like a mask for that. But at the end of the day, if you're writing something like that, it's because you're still like deeply in the space of caring about it. And if you're not honest about that in the place you're writing from, then like, I don't think it's ever going to hit. And I think so once I was able to be like, okay, well, if I want to talk about this, then clearly it really matters to me. I'm not going to try to hide that it matters. And then I think across all the songs that kind of comes through, that it's like however much anger or catharsis might be represented, that always comes from a place of vulnerability, that you think that talking about it one more time might make a difference, like that you're still kind of hoping that something could change.
When using a process like that, I actually find that so super fascinating, because I know we speak to a lot of songwriters on this podcast where obviously everyone's method is different and everyone has like a different approach to things. When you write with that kind of style and that kind of intent, I guess, do you find it draining once you've kind of finished that song? Is there almost the cliche, I think, is almost that songwriting is cathartic, but I imagine that doing it in this kind of process, like there's no way that it can't be cathartic if you're really kind of got that hold or that immense emotion tied to it.
Totally. I think, that's always what I'm like chasing for myself and for everyone else, like who plays it or listens to it, or like that it forms like a part of their life. I want it to like honor the full extent of that feeling. And to do that obviously requires that you put a lot of yourself into something, even when like, which doesn't mean that it's just, you know, like journal entry, you know, direct to song, like there's craft and structure and narrative and all of those things, but I guess all in service of that catharsis. And I also think that like, I don't know, you learn a lot about yourself personally from doing that. Like the first song of the EP is Organ Donor, which ends with this idea of like I'll keep going over this until I stop feeling anything about it. Like I'll keep revisiting this until it becomes nothing. And then the last song is 6 Foot Drop, which like I think is a lot more of an admission of like, oh, I actually have to like carry this feeling with me in order to like learn from like this experience. Like I can't put it away. And also like, it's not going to ever be nothing to me. Like it's still always going to be part of me, but like, this is how I like move forward with that. So that's kind of interesting. And I don't think I realized that that was what I was saying as I was saying it. And then later I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, you didn't get quite what you were saying at the time, but now we're here.
It is such a funny thing that for so many songwriters, it almost seems to be not necessarily a premonition thing, but it's an understanding of yourself even before you understand it in a way.
Totally. On Headlights, there's a verse that I wrote like a couple years ago and then put it away. And then the thing in the verse like happened to me like in real life. And then I was like, okay, I think I have to like open this back up and put it in a song so that like the loop is closed, because I really freaked myself out, because it was like a verse about having this particular dream, like that like predicts something. And then I had that exact thing happen and I was like a bit kind of freaked out. I was like, you know, not superstitious, but my brain is really working overtime.
See, that is kind of spooky. That actually is more premonition than like understanding feelings. So, but maybe that's a weird power. Maybe curious to see what the next few EPs hold in terms of songwriting and manifestation in what might follow from that.
I know, I'm like, oh, do I have to start writing really like happy and kind of quite like earnest and sincere stuff now to try to like make my life nice?
It's terrible though, but we really do as a society really resonate with like singer-songwriters who, and don't get me wrong, there is a place for happy and poppy songs, but like yourself, Phoebe Bridgers, Ethel Cain, Boy Genius, we also seem to love the sad boys and girls who like really go through it to feel it. So I obviously do hope that there is lots of happiness for you, but also I hope that we get more songs like this as well.
Totally, yeah.
I was just going to ask about 6 Foot Drop because, as you mentioned, it is kind of on the tail end of the EP. It is another gorgeous track, one that seems to be carrying another kind of emotional weight with it, similar to He Didn't Mean It. I was wondering whether you might be able to talk us through the inspiration or kind of where that song was born from.
Yeah, I think that I wrote it on the way back from a show at the Forum. I can't remember now actually who was playing, which was really bad. I feel like it might have been more rap because maybe I was watching Gab and my friend Stella Bridie play with them. But I walked back at the time I lived in Carlton, and so I just walked back from the city and it was raining, and I like wrote the whole thing in my notes app with like my head over my phone to stop the water from getting onto the screen. So I just remember it was very like get it down really quickly before water compromises my technology. I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how good, or not how good this is, but I was like, oh, I don't know how much like that's a good song, but it's written now. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm just going to see this idea through and then the song can exist. I don't have to do anything with it. And then I played it. I was rehearsing for a gig with friends, and we were in our rehearsal space, and I was like, oh, I might do this solo song that like I wrote a couple of weeks ago, and they just kind of asked to hear it so they could see what the vibe would be for the set. And then because of the way that they responded to it, I was like, oh, maybe that there's something here, or like maybe, you know, this is stronger than I thought it was. And I don't know, I think that weirdly sort of encapsulates the intention of the song, in that it's like you maybe don't realize how much you need to say something until the people you love are like, yes, like they connect with it, or also that they're like, they see a part of you through it. So I think I just kind of was sort of like, if I can get to a really kind of hard, sort of what we were talking about before, like really writing from discomfort and writing from this sort of theoretical, again, like kind of a songwriting tool idea of like, if, you know, making the decision to, I don't know, stay firm on this boundary made me the worst person in the world, would I still do it? And that's kind of, I guess, part of what the song is about. But yeah, it was just really special to get to play it for the first time with such like safe, wonderful people. And so I think that's allowed me to carry forth with it, even though it's obviously very vulnerable, because I feel like I have that inner circle around me all the time.
I absolutely love that though, and I feel that it is something that not a lot of songwriters necessarily have this early in their career or in their project, is that kind of safe space to be able to write uncomfortable lyrics or what is really important to them, not just kind of like the surface level stuff. I'm wondering whether you might be able to share your introduction to songwriting, and I guess what got you into it, and how you maybe found yourself from the introduction to being able to share such vulnerable and honest kind of songwriting and words.
Absolutely, yeah. I was just like always writing as a kid. I was talking to my sister the other week about when I was 5, I wrote a feminist reinterpretation of Cinderella, and then I made my class like perform it, which is just very classic. Everything I was doing at that time was very like, okay, and everyone's going to do my project now, which I guess I've kind of continued to do. But yeah, and then I guess probably a couple of years after that, I would be writing songs. There was a piano in my house growing up, and it wasn't ever something I thought about as necessarily like a career or whatever. I just kind of was like, oh, I just need to do this, and there's things that I can't say any other way than through this. And it's also something that I focus on so easily. It's like the most mindful I feel is when writing or when playing shows. And so I think through like chasing more of that feeling, then I kind of was like, oh, I just want to spend as much of my like time doing this as possible. And then I think, you find the people that you work really well with, and that again just spurs you to kind of be like, oh my God, I can have these incredible like friendships in this incredible community and do this thing that really lights me up. And like, that's the same thing, which is, I feel like, pretty rare. And I don't know. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Curious to know, I know that there's an EP launch in Melbourne this December. I believe it's 1 or 2 weeks after the EP comes out on the 12th. What can fans expect from this show? Because I imagine it's the first time you may be playing 1 or 2 of these new tracks.
Yeah, we're going to play like the full EP and a couple other kind of songs that we've been working on this year as well. And like we might do a cover because we've never actually done that before. Let's just have lots of fun. I hope that I think that like your job when you're performing a show is to like take care of people, kind of like you're like curating their experience for the time that they're in the audience. So that's my aim, is just to do that. And, I like to do little chats and check-ins in between songs so that it feels like we're having like more of a connection. And it's like, I want to feel like we're all in someone's living room, like after the party's ended, like that kind of safety and comfort.
Look, I absolutely love that. We, keep discussing, but we saw you at Big Sound in September, as you know, and the showcase that we saw you at, it was very much that kind of vibe. It was very inclusive. People felt very comfortable. You did seem like a very good host of said party. So I'm very excited for that show. I do have to ask, because I don't see this EP not doing well. I see the Stella Bridie name only kind of getting bigger as we go on into 2025. Can we maybe expect some more shows or some more gigs around the country in support of the EP?
I think hopefully it's always the aim. I think I maybe said this exact thing to you when we spoke last time, but it's, you want to go where people want to see you. I've gotten quite a few Sydney people asking, like, in the DMs. I think, I don't know, I just want to play it as much as it wants to be heard, and hopefully that's a lot. So, yeah.
100%. We'll continue to do it this time again, putting it out into the universe to manifest, similar to your kind of the dream that you had. I figure once the universe has it, it's theirs to deal with, and hopefully we'll see you playing some shows in Sydney, in Brisbane, here with us in Adelaide. Would love to see you play here. Stella, I have to ask, we usually ask, I guess, what they're currently listening to for yourself. What's currently on a high rotation for you?
This is going to sound kind of opportunistic, because I know that you actually recently had her on the podcast, but this is separate from that. I've been really listening to the Katie Gavin solo record heaps. Magdalena Bay, their record that came out this year, so good. I've been listening to a lot of Otis Redding kind of consistently the last few years, so he's always kind of up there at the top. And I think that's mostly what's been going on. And then also just the number one played noise on my phone is brown noise. It's like white noise, but less harsh, that I use for every single moment of my life. So that's what I've been listening to.
Look, very varied kind of artists. I love that. Obviously, I feel like everyone has like a white noise or like a ocean noise or kind of something to help them get through the day these days. But I do love the 3 artists that you mentioned, because very varied kind of tastes. Otis, Magdalena, and Katie. Yeah, very different. Curious for you, where do you get your new music recommendations from? Like, how do you find new artists or new releases?
Yeah, I think, from like a couple of music podcasts like yours, that like, you see them talking to an artist and you think, oh, I kind of trust that taste. Let me like look more into it. And then also, again, every so often the text chat that I'm in with my friends, who are all in music, and a lot of them who worked on this EP, like every so often someone will go, "What's everyone listening to?" And everyone will send like a bunch of links into the chat. And so I feel like that's always like, cool, I've got a good amount of homework for the next week. So yeah, like that's kind of my ideal. Also, when I know people are like, "Oh, I'm not listening to that song you posted on your story." I'm listening. I'm always listening. I follow those links, all as in like, like you, the general public. I love to see what people are up to. I feel like it feels like snooping in what's going on in their life a bit, because you're like, "Oh, what's going on for you?" So yeah.
I think similar brains. I know people don't do it as much anymore, but it is fascinating when someone does share a song. It's like, oh, great, cool. One, insight into what they like, what they don't like. But two, there's that second layer of, I wonder why they're posting this or what's kind of happening. And yeah, agreed. It seems that musician friends always have like the heads up on maybe not what's cool, but what's coming. I think a number of artists earlier this year kept saying, "Oh, that there's a McGee record coming out, or there's this thing called McGee," and then obviously he's done very well. But Stella, thank you very much for sharing your taste and for coming to chat with us about the brand new EP that is coming out. It's called Speaking Terms. It's out right now and people are listening. We'll make sure it's in the show notes for people to stream their little butts off and make sure they run those numbers up for you. And there'll be tickets available, or a link, to the tickets to the show at the Old Bar available in the show notes. But thank you so much for coming to chat with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been lovely.